Here is the setup, weighting down the lips on the top deck. So I got these epoxied on. So I have the top deck pinned to my building board. And the tricky part here is these pieces of lip want to tilt into the opening. They're hanging off the edge, and there's laser cut lines. Maybe you can see the lines right there. I got them lined up pretty flush right to it. Epoxy's kind of filled in on it. But so the thickness of the lip lined up on that line will give the right amount of overhang for the cowling to sit on. That was the importance of me cutting these one-piece lips, the 25.5 inches going down each side, cutting them with the table saw with a fence, so I could line them up with the lines and have a precise amount of lip overhanging for the cowling to sit on. Weighting them down with these lipos is what I did to keep them from tipping. I did the end ones first. So I took 2 of these little popsicle sticks, mixing sticks, and I weighted them like this. So again, that kept it from tipping. So epoxy the 2 end ones on first, and then did the side ones. So now let's pull this and let's take a look, see how accurate the lip is hanging into the opening from looking down on the top of the deck. This was another case of running accurate small beads of epoxy, the length of those lips. So I wanted it to fill. See just a little bit come out here. I have to see how much ran into the opening when I weighted them down. Not bad, it's not sticking anyway. And what do we have for lips? Looks like I have a nice uniform width parallel lip, and pretty close to the right amount of epoxy. It's oozed out onto the lip. So I got a full amount of epoxy. I'll check how the cowling fits. Might have to scrape a little bit out of there. Here's the ultimate test. How I did my stealth cowling. Oh my, that's nice. That's a handy unit there. The router attachment for a Dremel tool. Cutting out the notches for the lips on the top plate. In stock form, there's a web goes across here, and the lips run this way and this way. For this stealth cowling and these continuous lips, I had to cut notches in the former for clearance. It's beautiful. Everything is fitting up rather nicely. Much easier to seal the bottom side of the top plate now before we epoxy it on. You could bend acid brushes, reach up under there and get the lip. We've all done it. It's doable. But this is easier. Checking that back seam. Looks good. Top deck is on. Another successful scramble. Epoxying a major component like this. But yeah, it's weighted, taped, clamped. It's going to work. It's always exciting after waiting 24 hours to pull the weight, the clamps, and tape off a project. There it is. Using a sharp square piece of metal. Scrape out any globs of epoxy. Got down in this lip. In this case, I'm using a corner of my square. Then it'll be coat of sealer on the top deck and down in the lip. I do have one coat of sealer on the sides and bottom so far. But I find for any cowling or any lids, you gotta fight back against buildup in the corner. Buildup of epoxy, buildup of sealer, buildup of paint to maintain a good fit. It tends to puddle in there, and then you lose your clearance on the fit. All these epoxy shavings were scraped out of the lip area. It's just what oozed into the lip from bonding it on. But now that the top deck is on, I can do a final fit on the cowling. Sand the edges. I'm going to get a gap about like that all the way around. Looks good down to about here. It starts tightening up a little. And starts getting a little tight in the back right here. But I want to set that clearance at this point so I don't lose my fit when I seal the top deck, seal the cowling, and any layers of paint I add. Yeah, that's going to be a big time saver. Remember, leave it on the envelope. Do not put that in your boat. This is finishing resin, not thinned. I'm straight up following the directions on the sponsons. Yep, that's 2 sponsons under there, left and right. So I have the sponson tubes epoxied in, and the dowels, 4 wooden dowels epoxied in, and the side plates on both sponsons. 1/8 inch on the inside, 1/16 on the outside, the sheeting. Very straightforward, simple construction, making these sponsons. Sponson tubes are in, dowel rods are in, 1/8 inch on the inside, 1/16 sheeting on the outside. Make a left and a right. Very important. 1/8 inch on the inside, 1/16 on the outside. Weighted it properly, everything looks tight. A left and a right sponson. You knew this was coming, right? Zippkits Jae 21Fe with a stealth cowling. This 2-ounce glass strips on the corners is pretty thin stuff. Should be able to blend that in with sealer and paint. Need sheeting on the sponsons. Need nose blocks on the sponsons. Need the final shape, the nose blocks. Need first coat of sealer on the top deck. Starting to look like a rigger though.